yellow. It has been a long, lonely, cold, depressing 8 months since I last saw my absolute legend, my everything, my king, Shawn Mendes. And last night I finally reunited with him after he had seen the world. This man was on a marathon, he was on tour, he went to Australia, he went to New Zealand, he went to the North Pole, he went to Antarctica. He might as well have gone to all those damn places because he was gone for literally 8 months. A lot of people didn't know that he was flying in last night. So I would say there was maybe a total of between 10 and 15 people, which is normally nothing, because the airport for Shawn is normally full of like 50 to 60 people. So as per usual, I somehow managed to get myself to go last. It wasn't intentional because I actually didn't want to go last. I wanted to kind of be with my friends. But then all these a lot of randoms in the airport start to scooch their way in, and then they kind of butted me, which I didn't mind because I knew at the end of the day Shawn would have stopped, whatever. And then I ended up going last. So I'm watching all of this happen.
Thanks, Shawn. Nice meeting you.
Thanks. Did George get it? George's gonna get a full body watch. He's gonna get.
So the time finally comes, and I am smiling ear to ear. He finally comes to me. And I honestly could say I had a full conversation with him. I hugged that man maybe 30 times, showed him all my tattoos. He showed me his new tattoo, and I was like, I don't know why we never do this outside of the airport. I don't know why we don't just go to Starbucks, or maybe perhaps we could go to the mall, or maybe even we could sit outside on the grass, even though it's darn too damn November. I mean, in the snow now. He looks at me and I look at him, and we're both like, hey, literally it's been so long. And I told him, I was like, I haven't seen you in forever. And he looks at me because I guess a little fun fact is that I actually tan, self-tan, bed tan, which is whatever, it's bad for you, yada yada yada, but I don't care. He looks at me, he's like, it looks like you've been gone forever. He's like, it looks like you don't even live here. He's like, where have you been? And I was like, Bora Bora, Fiji, Los Angeles, tanning bed. And in the midst of us talking, I'm probably hugging this man 10 to 20 times. All my friends were like, George, you literally just kept hugging him. And then he sees my tattoo. So the thing is, within that 8-month time span of me not seeing him, I managed to get actually probably 10 tattoos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have a bunch on my hand, and then I have a bunch on my chest, if you can see. And he goes, and you got new tattoos. He was shook. He was literally, this man has changed within 8 months of me not seeing him. And it's glowed up, even though I still look like the damn ground. And he's looking at it, and he grabs my arm, and he's literally observing it. And he's into tattoos, obviously, as everybody in the damn Mendes army knows. This man loves tattoos. And I have this one from my friend that my friend actually designed, and he looks at it, he's like, oh, I like that one a lot. And I was like, thanks, Bucko. I was like, my friend designed it. And then I told him, I was like, I actually have a bunch on my chest too. And I was like, did you want to see them? And I'm looking around to make sure it wasn't weird to just lift up my shirt. I was like, it's okay, we don't have to. He's like, no, let me see it. So I was like, and there's actual pictures of me showing him, and I'll insert those here. And then at one point, he looks at the rose. Okay, I have a rose right over here. I don't know if you can see it. I have a rose right over here, and he touches it. And then I also have the bird up here, and I know he has a similar bird, or I think maybe it could be the same, I don't know. And he was like, oh, and you have the sparrow too. And I was like, wait, it's a sparrow, or is it, maybe it's an eagle. He's like, oh, you have it. And I was like, oh yeah, I got it at a tattoo convention here in Toronto. Then another, I wouldn't say he was a fan. He was one of those irrelevant locals who are just observing. He goes, can I get a picture? Buds us in the middle of our conversation. He goes, yeah. And then he looks at me, he's like, did you want to take our selfie? He was like, you could go first with him. This man's apparently in a darn too damn rush if he's bombarding our conversation. And he's like, no, let's do ours. And I was like, okay, fine. So he was the one who wanted to orchestrate it. He goes, or he asked me about it. He was like, how did you want to do this? And I'm like, interesting. I was like, I didn't see him ask anybody else how they wanted to do it. He just kind of grabs your phone, and he was like, how did you want to do this? I was like, okay. So he takes my phone from me. I guess he likes taking the darn too damn pictures. I was like, my good side would be the side that he was holding his guitar case. And I was like, sorry, Bucko, but that's my good side. And then I go over there, and he's like, no problem. And then he's putting his guitar case down, and I look at him, and I'm like, oh my god, no. If you want, I'll go to the other side. He's like, no problem. And he puts it down. He literally put down his guitar case so we could take a cute picture, which we did take a cute picture. Here it is. So then he goes on to that other fan that kind of just butted their way into our conversation. And while he's doing that, I'm talking to him about tattoos now, and I'm like, oh, I forgot, actually, I don't even know if I knew about that new tattoo that he got. He was like, oh, I was like, oh, when are you getting your next tattoo? And he goes, actually, I got one recently of an A behind my ear. I forget if I knew about it or I didn't, because when he showed it to me, so he goes, come, like, look. And he, like, puts his ear, like, kind of, like, folds it. And it's, like, an A, but, like, very fine. And, like, you have to find somebody in the tattoo industry who's really good at fine line stuff like that, because you don't want it thick, especially, like, letters like that. And I'm like, wow, they did a really good job, like, the way they cursive that A. And he was like, yeah, like, it was, like, really good. And I was like, yeah, like, I mean, I don't think I have anything that fine. So then he comes back to our conversation, and he's like, how's it been in Canada? He's like, it's cold now, eh? And I was like, oh, you wait till you step outside because there's snow now. Before he left, this moment is gonna be memorable forever and ever, and I don't know why nobody got, like, a candid or a video of it, because I was like, what? He's like when he was finally done taking selfie, he goes, okay guys, like, I love you. And then he looks at me, and I'm not kidding you. When I'm not kidding you, because I'm being very, very serious. He, like, puts his hand out, I grab his hand, we literally linked arms, guys, like this. I was like, and he's like, love you guys. And as we're, like, looking at each other, I was like, love you too. So awkward and so nervous, but I was like, and whatever, it's fine. And then Shawn finally makes his way to the car, and he's heading right back home, and I'm heading right back home as well. And that's the end of the story of me reuniting after 8 long darn months with Shawn Mendes. For anybody who's watching me, if anybody's ever darn damn watching me, I'll talk to y'all in the next video. TTYLs.